Well,
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Have you put 50p in a meter? In
oh
a
my
meter?
God.
Yeah, in a meter,
Yeah.
Pete. That's not easy to say. How are you? Let's just say hello, everybody. Welcome along to this, well, you can tell, live. Do not scratch your eyes. I'm Justin.
Yeah, I'm Peter. And we were just about to press live, and suddenly the screen vanished and everything went down. And the system that we use for this seemed to have
Lovely.
run away and gone somewhere else. So we both went, oh, fuck. There you go. It's the first swear word in under a minute. Excellent. But that, honestly, in fairness, it was a minute, about 5 minutes ago. Never mind, never mind. Swansea, we've got to talk about Swansea because Swansea's coming up. But I thought, first of all, like we did last time when we were on, that's just my thoughts, and we'll discuss it and see what you think and see what anybody thinks. Hello, everybody on Twitter or on YouTube or on both. Who knows? People might be watching it in stereo. I don't think that's how it works, but never mind. Put some comments in if you want to say hello, or you want to do anything, or you want to ask anything, or you just want to point out the fact that we're rather odd doing this. But never mind. Let's get back and look at QPR, because I think you come out of games with a very different kind of level of emotional feeling to when you went into them on occasions. And I thought there was a number of things that were quite important about the QPR game. Obviously, the 3 points was the biggest one, but a few little changes. The first thing was, in the league, the switch to the 3 at the back, which was Abankwah, Kevin, and of course, Kyprianou. I thought that was a massive alteration and a change. And of course, that didn't happen on that game. That happened in the middle of the after about 35 minutes or whatever it was of the Norwich game. If you went to that, you'll have known that first 35 minutes was so buttock churningly excruciating. It was awful, and it felt like everything that had been worked on from a tactical point in pre-season was thrown out the window. Go to 3-5-2. We're going to try something else. We're going to try something else. And I'm not having a dig out about it and for changing it and going, because I think we've seen managers who might just go with plan A, and he didn't stick with plan A. He went to plan B. But what that did was it kind of facilitated a couple of things. Against Norwich, balls from the wide from Diallo. Yes, remember him when we were linked to him. Just basically tore us apart. And with 4 at the back, there were massive gaps and easy finishes. And this changed with the 3 at the back. Wasn't perfect by any means, but with the 3 at the back, it kind of seemed to work. I think hoped it a little bit better. And of course, it had Kyprianou there as well. What it also meant, that 3-5-2 sort of 2, was we had somebody who made a huge difference. Nestori Irankunda made all the difference in the world, simply because for the first time in 3 years, you had a forward player who was prepared to break the lines, run beyond the forward in Kieran. He ran beyond him, or he ran to at least support him, so that for once we didn't have somebody who was completely on their own. I thought he made a huge difference to us, just from a tactical point of view. And yes, his pace, yes, his excitement, yes, all of the lovely kind of exciting stuff he does on the ball, great. But just the fundamentals of get up there and support the forward, happy day for everybody. And of course, what did that mean? It meant that, Luca Kiramgar, of which we are still trying to grasp the pronunciation, showed us what he was all about. And of course, he didn't do it once, he did it twice. But there's an integral part about that as well. Both of those goals came from, as good as they were, and as happy as we were to celebrate them, they came from the most difficult ball to defend, which is a ball to the back of the opposition defence. How often have we got the ball, pissed about with it at the back, moved it left and right, moved it left and right, moved it left and right, and had no penetration? We talked about it. Now suddenly we've got somebody running beyond. We're passing the ball to the back of the defence. So, the first one went to Irankunda running through. It was Kayembe who had the penultimate pass in all of these moves. And whilst I don't think in general playing when we haven't got the ball, he frustrates me at times, he has got a passing quality that helps people open up. Pass it to the back of the defence, you've got an opportunity. And of course, Irankunda crossed it across for that first one, and similarly for the second one, a ball outright to Loser, and a great ball to the back of the defence for him to be able to get his head on that. was a tremendous thing to see. So, really pleased to see everybody celebrating, etc. All of that. Other things for me, Jeremy Ngakie's best game in a Watford shirt. I mean, we've talked about right back as a problem position, and I think it's fair to say it has been a problem position. However, from his point of view there, I thought he was absolutely excellent going forward. He was strong as anything. And when in that last 10 or 15 minutes we moved him to the left back, he was even more attacking than he had been on the right. And he came in and he was causing all sorts of problems. Really, really enjoyed it. Of course, a plus and a negative. Imran Loser, as I say, the general who saw red in the end, that's going to cost us. And that's something we're going to have to talk about when we're looking forward to Swansea. Who's going to step in there? We presume it would be, Cipriano, who's going to come in there, which means what do we do at the back? Who are our three at the back? Or are we going to change a shape again? We don't know. Different game, maybe a different formation. We shall see.
I've got to say, that didn't look like a red in real time from where I was sitting. It didn't look like a red, but having seen it again, that leg's very high. You can't slide him with a leg that high, really.
It looked to me like he'd slipped. It really did. It looked to me like he'd slipped. However, he didn't look good at all on the replay. So he's out. It's not being appealed, and I think probably quite rightly. Because if you the wording, I'm going back the wording 20 years ago when I did my rest badge. It was reckless, careless, or with disproportional force. And in fairness, that tackle really, it ticked all three. It was reckless, it was careless, and it was reckless because it was careless, not because it was any malicious intent, and because he goes through him. So, it's one of them. We're going to have to see what there is, and of course, therefore, eyes on the Udinese player who was linked to come across. Lovric has been mentioned on social media by Udinese, so it looks very official as he's their vice captain. So somebody who had been suggested as being coming across hasn't, but we'll talk about those kind of things later on. As I was just saying there, though, with regard to Musa Sissoko, I've given him jip when I thought he's dialed it in. There were periods last season where I just found him absolutely irritating to watch, and I thought he was a tour de force in that game. I thought he really put it in, and he belied his age, which is what you want to see. And of course, before the game, everybody was looking at it and going, Bar on the bench. And I think we do have to turn around to, and I say about ripping up the tactical rule book from pre-season. Say fair play to him. It was just what the doctor ordered for Petzolano. He needed a result really, after a very disappointing first home performance. I think you can say that overall. If you lose the game in the first 35 minutes, it doesn't matter whether or not there are mild improvements in the second half. You're not doing well, and I think he managed to win a lot back with that, especially the first half performance. The goal that QPR got, absolute worldie, fantastic strike. Ironically, it came from Cipriano bringing the ball out, and he passed the ball away, and then it went to the left-hand side, and it sort of came across and broke out, and he was the one shutting the player down. And it was one where in the family stand, I was right behind it, and it just felt like there was no time between him striking the ball and it hitting the net. It was a really, really excellent strike from the young lad from QPR. So fair play to it. So I think it was an encouraging thing. I think there were some encouraging elements to it. I don't think we can get carried away with it, because I don't think we got carried away with the Charlton defeat. I think everybody got rather disturbed by looking at what they were looking at, because it was like sort of watching one of those kind of action camera, kind of dash cam accidents from Russia sort of things that Channel 5 seem to specialise in against Norwich first half. But I think it was better. What were your thoughts on the Rangers game?
No, you're right. I mean, we were asking people before the match, if you were the owner, where's your vote of confidence in Petzolano? Yeah. And most people were going, well, you got to give him time, but you feel that too much more of this, and he's going to be out. One person said, I think today, if he loses, he's gone. I don't know. Yeah. I thought the QPR game was obviously a lot better. I mean, if you're 2-0 up at that stage of the game, you think, oh, thank God, at last, 2 goals in the first half of a game that we're sort of fairly comfortably in control of, because you'll recall there was a couple of efforts before the goals as well. I think was it Kayembe, not one wide, and there was another chance as well. So that was obviously a lot better. To concede that goal before half time, bit of a kick in the teeth. But listen, we won that game 2-1. Pressure feels like it's eased a little bit, but we are going on to Swansea. So, we don't ever have very happy hunting ground there. Or do we? We'll find out a bit later on, I suspect.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Well, a few people saying hello. There's Jim Marshall. There's also, and I suspect this might be Luke, saying hello, saying even good evening, gentlemen, as is West London Hornet. Is that Gary? I suspect that's Gary. I think when anybody says West London Hornet, I think Gary. So there we go. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all good.
Hello, Luke. Your bit's coming up, Luke. So stay with us. Your bit's coming up. You can share it.
We're going to share it. We're going to go to that. We're going to go to that very, very shortly indeed. So yeah, our eyes turning, obviously looking that way. In terms of Swansea, everybody's going to be piling down the M4 and seeing what happens lunchtime at the Liberty Stadium. It will make that midfield position even more important. Just had some news that I believe Messiah Edwards has gone out on loan. We will see. The other thing I need to make an apology is I got my dates completely wrong because I said to Justin, no, we'll do it on Wednesday and then I can do blah, 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 blah. I should be at the women's game today. The women are playing at Charlton Athletic, the first game back at Kings Langley, and I'm not there. So I will periodically be giving you an update on that anyway. I know, but I'll be going there on Sunday for the first league game proper. I'm just going to talk about concentrating on the league and all of that, but it's just nice to see that the league, and football is back. Evening, Lee. Hope you're well, sir. Hope you're well. Right, let's get to have a look at that because we had a good old chat with our friend Luke about all the strange going on down the M4 in Wales because, well, they've got something in common with those folk up in North Wales. Well, here's what we found out.
On our opposition view, as always, when we speak about Swansea, the man with the golden voice, Luke is with us. Hello, Luke. How are you?
Hello, thanks for having me back. As always, great to be back on you. I was like this one. It's one of my favourites for the year, not going to lie.
Well, we'll wait to that. Don't worry. That's fine.
Yeah, no, we'll let you lie if you'll say anything nice. That's fine. We don't care about that. Luke, sir, we've got to say it. Football in Wales has gone fucking mental over the last few years, and Swansea are having none of those northern pretenders doing stuff that they want to do. You have a new ownership model. And yes, everybody, just as you went, Ryan who? Rob what? No. Footballing royalty joins. Luka Modric is now part co-owner. And just as you think that's the strangest thing that's happened all fucking season, no. Snoop Dogg turns up and is now part or minority owner in Swansea. It's not all happening just at Birmingham and the like. Tell us, Luke, what on earth is going on with the ownership with Swansea? And are all Swansea fans happy and excited?
Look, it's a completely different situation to maybe a year ago. I don't know, maybe when we spoke last about Swansea's ownership, but
yeah,
we got taken over sort of in November, I want to say it was. So the chairman that was in that position at the time, Andy Coleman, he was brought in by the previous owners to be chairman after the previous one vacated that job. And he led then, as chairman, a sort of buyout with some other investors, some Americans included there. There was Welshmen and some other people involved. But they bought out the previous American ownership that we've had since we were in the Premier League. I want to say 2016, 17-ish. Towards the end of our time in the Premier League, they bought the club. And everyone has sort of, since they've come in, it's not been great, let's say. We got relegated. There's been a lot of the players that were good players being sold and everything negative that comes with that. A lot of criticism about the management of the club, the fact that they're far away, you're not really involved at a local level, you don't see them, you don't really hear of them, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's happened for a while. New ownership, it is Americans again, and the chairman stayed there. So there was a bit of like, okay, we got taken over, but it didn't necessarily feel like a massive takeover. Like when we got sold last time when Hugh Jenkins went, that was a big deal and it was everywhere and it felt like a big takeover. This one kind of happened behind the scenes and then it was announced and then things carried on. Now, obviously they were saying they were looking to do the better things, take the club on the up again and all the stuff you say when you take over a club. And I think everyone was happy to hear that, but it was a case of like, oh, let's see what they got. Yeah. January came, wasn't great, not going to lie. It looked the same as every other January before under the previous regime. And I think obviously Grimes left as well, player that's been with us for a long time, and we've spoken about him before here, how important he was, and the way that happened wasn't very good. The manager kind of, at the time, Luke Williams, he fell apart, let's say, because it was quite drastic, the form dip, and his end period in charge, that kind of like just fell off a cliff. Things really went quite sour in January and beginning of February. And the way that they dealt with the transfer window and replacing Matt Grimes was just a shambles. Andy Coleman, the chairman that I said led this takeover, by all accounts, he's not necessarily a football man. So when he got brought in, he was brought in as a businessman to run the club, no other football experience. And I think that really showed in January, when I don't think anyone expected Grimes to leave, but then the way that they then dealt with that, we got lucky that we got Lewis O'Brien in. Let's just say that, because we weren't heading in the right direction at the time, and he did a really good job. I think everyone thought he was a good player, but a better job than anyone expected, filling that hole that Matt Grimes left, and really helped us towards the end of the season. So got away with one a little bit. But Coleman was in the last day of the transfer window, like ringing clubs, asking for player availability, just shambles, to be honest. Like, really not what you want. Didn't sound like there was a plan. They keep telling us about this data-driven approach and the recruitment structure that's in place now, looking at players all this time. Didn't look like any of that was happening. So where I think for me the biggest difference in the ownership came then, Williams got sacked not so long after, and they also moved Coleman on, which no one was really expecting that, because he's the guy that brought this new ownership in. Now, by all accounts, he's still got ownership shares in the club. He's just no longer in the role of chairman. So he got moved on. It was announced in, I want to say, March, and then he was there till the end of the season. But he kind of didn't, after it was announced, wasn't really anywhere in the news, wasn't really saying anything. You know, he was kind of moved aside quietly. Now, after that happened, obviously we get the news of Luka Modric coming in, 5% co-owner. So out of nowhere, that came in. I think, I don't know if it was Nixon or someone that dropped the news originally that he was coming in, but yeah, or Fabrizio maybe. You know, when one of them tweets he puts out.
Yeah.
So you never know whether to believe it or not. But then all of a sudden, Luka Modric is there holding up the Swansea kit. So that was a bit crazy, to say the least.
That's rather exciting. And of course,
in
and around that time, it's announced that Luka Modric is leaving another well-known team in white.
So
were there moments when you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, we've actually found a replacement for Joe Allen?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of speculation and rumours, I think led a lot by the media, of course, because it's the easy link to make at that point. It's one of those where you think, oh, could it happen? I think you don't believe it really, but then you're like, but then he's kind of got some sort of interest in the club now. Maybe he would, but obviously it didn't happen. Does it mean it won't in the future? Who knows? You know, he still hasn't retired. We'll see if he fancies coming down to the Mumbles for the season. But
he'll play at AC Milan, just come to you on loan.
Yeah, exactly. Come on loan. But so he joins, and ultimately is sort of communicated that the reason he's there is to grow the profile. He's not there to, like, you know, splash the cash. Like, that's not what he's brought into the club for. It's 5%. So he's a minority owner, but it's the image, isn't it? It's the name of Modric. It's the appeal of him on a global scale, and that's within. You know, when you're looking at transfers, he's been speaking to players before we sign them and helping convince them to join the club. There's already been a few examples of that. So Inusa, who we signed in the summer, is one that Modric spoke to convince him to come along. I know Harry Darlin, who left, had a few conversations with him to try and convince him to stay. Obviously didn't materialise, but that's the sort of role he's taken within the club, and obviously in the board, talking about the direction of what players they want to sign and having that sort of input, which I think, given the criticisms I just said for the previous chairman not being a football person, that's something I was perhaps missing at that level. So he's not making the decisions, bottom line decisions, but he's there as someone with experience of football to sit in there and give his little piece about what's going on. And I think that's really useful. I do love the qualifying about, obviously, the football chops and experience that he brings. And now we're going to get to Snoop Dogg. Yeah, I was going to say, so Modric will also grow on a global scale because, I mean, Ballon d'Or winner, so he's got a bit of a global scale. But moving on from that, adding Snoop Dogg into the equation now. Now, I spoke about Modric's football side of input, but obviously Snoop Dogg's not there for that. He is purely there for the commercial side. I haven't got I haven't seen exactly what, I don't think they've communicated what shares he has put in. I think it's about the same as Modric, so about 5%. but he's there for the growing the club, the profile of the club, and the commercial opportunities. Swansea have said a lot of times in the past to no fruition. We need to look at other ways to make money, get the revenue in. It's hard these days. It's getting harder all the time, and that's true. I think every football club knows that. I think we suffer a little bit more than some other teams because of geography, just because of where we are in terms of like attracting sponsorships and even sometimes players to come to the area. Like, it's so far out the way, maybe there's not as much cameras, there's not much coverage, not as much in the stadium. So we just don't get as much of a pull as if you're a London club or a Manchester club or anything like that. And it's always been the case. We had it when we were in the Premier League as well. But I think Snoop Dogg coming in is an attempt to look at other ways we can correct that. So we might not get those things from where we are in the position that we are in. But now we've got this celebrity on board who's sharing stuff everywhere, who's getting involved with, like, I think there's collabs with merch coming with his record label. They are, by all accounts, they've registered a trademark for a beer, which is going to be called Drop It Like It's Hops. So spin off his song. They've registered that already as a trademark, as much as they haven't announced it. I would imagine there's going to probably be some sort of TV thing. That hasn't been announced. They've kind of hinted at it in the fans forum.
Yeah, and
I think that's going to happen.
Plenty of munchies for the board meetings as well, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, look, I've seen. I went like researching because he was pictured or videoed launching our kit before it was announced that he was going to come on board. I knew there and then. I was like, that definitely means more. There's definitely more going on here. Yeah. So he launched the kit.
AI.
Days.
The minute you saw it, you think, oh, that's AI. You actually thought, oh, this is genuine. This is going to happen, right?
Yeah, but it's crazy. But I said at the time, so I went researching, and there's some articles a couple of years ago about him talking about how much admiration he's got for Ryan Reynolds and Rob up in Wrexham and what they've done and how he wants to do something similar. He's really, like, he likes the idea of that. And at the time in this interview that I was reading, he was talking about Celtic, looking at that avenue. So the way Modric got on board was, I can't remember who it is specifically, but one of the guys that's involved in the board now with the takeover. Yeah. He's got a lot of connections. He's going out there and he's making the things happen, basically. He's talking to the right people about investing in the club, and he pulled Modric in. And I think it was the same person that's gone and got Snoop Dogg, essentially. Obviously, I don't know how it works, but they're obviously talking about investments at a certain level when you've got that much money. And I guess it's about knowing where to go, who to speak to. And obviously Snoop Dogg was on the lookout, and I guess some person in Swan's hierarchy who's perhaps, pulled a bit of a masterstroke has gone out of their way to sell our club to him as an opportunity. And I think if Wrexham's the story that sold him on the idea, perhaps, we're a club in Wales as well, then the other end would be a good little rivalry, that sort of thing, and they've already played on that. They've got videos. I think they did Birmingham were included in one of them as well, but they're doing little skits and stuff on social media, like, to try and drum up a bit of engagement and interest. But yeah, there's a massive market to tap into now, I think, with that, and hopefully Swansea can benefit on the field when it comes to the commercial opportunities it will provide. That's the idea, anyway.
How do you feel about maybe there being a documentary around Swansea? Do you like that idea, or does that kind of horrify you?
A documentary.
Oh, you see, I can see you bought into this, haven't you? You completely bought into
this. I understand both sides. I think there's a lot of fans across football who look at this and like, oh, the game's gone, like, this isn't football, this, that, the other. And fair enough, I understand where that comes from. But I think you just need to look at the football landscape, as I've already just mentioned, and the financial situation. You've got clubs like Sheffield Wednesday and Morecambe recently really struggling, and something's got to change. And I think this is an attempt of clubs doing that. And I think you'll see more and more of it as we go on now. I think there'll be more celebrity investors. And, at the end of the day, things got to move on and adapt and change with the times. Social media is a massive thing now. A lot of content's consumed online in short form and all of this sort of stuff. And I think all of this together buys into that narrative. So that's what the market they're trying to tap into. So as a Swansea fan, I'd like to see more behind the scenes stuff. Don't get me wrong. There is that element of Hollywoodness to it. I just, if it's beneficial to the club, then I'm all for it. Do you know what I mean? And for too long, I've seen us be selling club and can't do nothing about it. So if it helps us generate any sort of money to come in and helps us grow in any sort of way, then it's got to be a positive thing for us, And you can't knock the board for trying, going out a different direction and actually making things happen with that. If it doesn't work in a couple of years' time, whatever, I'm sure they'll move on and go their separate ways. But at the moment, it's created a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. I think I was speaking to a Sheffield United fan before the game last week in one of these videos, and he's an American Sheffield United fan, and he was telling me the
Chad?
impact it's had out there. Yeah,
Is that
it is
Chad?
actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, Chad.
So
Yeah,
there we are. So you know him too. But he was telling me. So I think I'm gonna have him on a pod later in the season when maybe it's.
he does not like Wrexham. He does
Yeah,
not.
well,
like
he was trying to tell me like what we need to do to sort of like match what they've done out there. But he was saying how he expects to walk down the street at some point soon and see like Swansea kits and all that sort of stuff. So I think around Christmas he's going to jump back on and tell me the impact it's had. Maybe after we've played Wrexham, just to see. I'm just interested, to see. It's all well and good us talking about it here, but what is it like out there? Because I think that's where they want to try and tap into, to try and get some of the money from there. So we'll see.
Look, we can't
exciting.
win. We're certainly not taking the mick, although we will get to a few moments in a minute where we're obviously, undoubtedly, we will. But of course, Watford grew up in the 70s because of the patronage of Elton John. If that was now, then you wonder how many people would be looking at Watford if the biggest star in the world was as he was at that particular point, was suddenly able to kind of get people interested in a 4th division football club with a ramshackle. Hey, look, it wasn't a video, it wasn't around at that time. But no, I can fully understand why your guys are going, well, okay, thinking differently, thinking out of the box. I mean, who thought 3 years ago that Tom Brady would come in and be trying to be fronting Birmingham? Because that will get an awful lot of eyes from emerging markets, and obviously the eyes in the States are everywhere, and every championship club has to kind of try to fight for that. Let alone, as you say, one that is not in. We're in the London circle, I would suggest, even if we're not in London, not within the kind of the Manchester or the Liverpools of this world. Then you need to fight for what you can get. What I'm really looking forward to is anybody who's obviously going on Saturday is whether or not you can get Just Eat ordered to your seat during the game, because that's
brilliant. Actually, I didn't think of that. That's quite kind of funny.
That's where you got to go with this sort of thing. I
know. Like match day. Don't worry about queuing at half time. We'll bring it to you instead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's regrettably go and talk about football momentarily. You know what we're like, everybody. That's the last thing we're going to get to. But let's just have a look at some of your arrivals, because you mentioned that Luka Modric has had a chat with some of these guys, maybe some loans, some free transfers, and some money being spent, which seems to be kind of de rigueur for the championship at the moment. People are wheeling and dealing. Out of all of the players that you've seen come in thus far on the arrivals or on this list or where have you, who are the guys who are exciting you in terms of the squad inclusion this season so far?
Ethan Galbraith's the one that stood out so far. He's been very good already in his couple of matches he's played for us so far, specifically in the cup match midweek. But then he carried that form into the match against Sheffield United, and I think he was voted player of the match by the fans on both occasions. I talked about losing Matt Grimes. He's the one that's probably come in and he's going to take that role and make it his own. Probably not, like for like the same player. He's probably a bit more dynamic, if anything. But he's definitely got an eye for a pass and controlling that midfield. And he looks a real exciting talent. Obviously 24 as well. So, a lot of these signings that we've been buying, on the most part, are investments. To sell on. There's a few that have come in for experience. You got Cameron Burgess on a free from Ipswich, which I think that's a very good signing as well, considering he's Premier League footballer last year, and by all accounts, a lot of Ipswich fans would tell you he was their best centre back. And we lost a lot of experience last year as well. So Kyle Norton, Joe Allen, they went retired or finished the time here, and Harry Darling is the one as well on a free that we lost. Not as old as those two, but experienced at this level. And Cameron Burgess coming in kind of makes you forget we lost Harry Darling in a way, because other than the age, there's an argument to say there's an upgrade there, even if it's for a shorter period of time because of the age. So that's made that transition a lot easier. Back to the incoming. So you've got Zidane Anusa, who's the other one I mentioned that Modric has spoken to.
It's a tremendous name. He must be good.
So we haven't seen an awful lot of him yet because he did pick up a knock in pre-season, but he's been coming on off the bench and he does look exciting. So I think when he gets up to speed in this league, gets up to full fitness, he's going to be definitely one to watch on the wing. He'll get bums off seats and he'll take players on, and he's quite quick as well. So he looks like he's quite an exciting one to keep an eye on. So if he can sort of start playing very well with Ronald on the other wing, that should hopefully give us quite good options going forward out wide.
Yeah, I saw Ronald got your goal against Sheffield United. Do we think that this young man is going to be available for Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, he was on the bench. He came on against Sheffield United, so I don't. Maybe he'll start. Maybe he's pushing for a start. Ji-sung has been starting on the left at the moment, and he's not a bad player by any means, and he's still got quality in himself. But it just gives competition in those wide areas, which we perhaps didn't have last year. And I think players like Ronald and Ji-sung maybe didn't play to their maximum potential because there wasn't really anyone also pushing them from the sidelines. You know, if you don't have a good game, then I'm going to start the next one. Yeah. We didn't really have that last year, especially with Ronald. I think he was a little bit frustrating at times, but he does seem like he started the season quite well. He scored in the cup as well, so he's had 2 and 3 this season so far. He's not prolific, don't get me wrong. One of the things I criticise him a lot for is his finishing and end product, even if it's assisting. But I hope that the season start that he's had will fill him with confidence going forward for the rest of the year. But the other highlight from the signings, if you pull that back up, is the young lad we've signed from Brighton on loan. Probably going to butcher his name, Malik Yakure or Yakue.
I think that was an excellent job. I think he did very, very well. We've got no idea, but we'll see.
So he's been playing with Brighton in pre-season, and they very, very highly rate him. He was playing European football last season. I forget the club he was in. He was on the continent somewhere on loan, but he was playing in European competitions, and they got decently into them as well. So he's not just the group stages. But he's just busy, you know. He's like he's the number 6 we were missing. Very busy in midfield, got a bit of a presence there, and we only saw him for the first time on Saturday, but he went straight into the starting lineup and had a very good game. So the team's coming together. There's one potentially on the way from Nottingham Forest as well. Not over the line just yet, but we've been told he's been having a medical, but we'll see if it gets announced. So Marco Staminek from Nottingham Forest, so another midfielder, which I'm a little bit surprised at, but the fee for this one's been quoted like 4 million. So we're throwing a bit of money around, which is not something we've seen really for some time, which again, alluding back to the ownership, there's a good feeling, good momentum around the place, whereas under the previous guys, we would never be signing these players we signed this summer. So it does feel like a very, very good summer at the moment. And the one thing Alan Sheehan can't say if things go tough for him is that he wasn't backed, because he definitely has been. There are some areas in the squad where depth might be still an issue, but in terms of bringing in quality to go straight into the first team, they've been doing that all summer now, and they've been doing it early as well. So a lot of those signings were signed very early on, you know, before the window really even opened. So it's been very positive for us. I just hope that carries on now going into the season.
Well, look at that. They're already spending the money from the 2026 Snoop Dogg UK tour, which will basically consist of 7 nights in the Liberty Stadium and nowhere else. God, this is good. This is good. I like this very much. Well, yeah, there we go. There we go.
There's been a couple of corrections from Luke while that was playing. Would you like to see them?
Yes, absolutely.
He said, just a correction. Inusa was on the bench, not Ronald. I misheard that question. Ronald will start for sure. And then he said he's actually been announced today 2+ mil. There you go.
Ah, right. This is the young man from Nottingham Forest. Yes, it's official, by the way. I'm now at the age where anybody who's playing professional football I describe as young man. It's there. It's there. And next season, I'm going to plan to start telling everybody when I first went and how long I've been supporting Watford. It's just part of the decline, and I'm looking forward to it. Well, look, I think it was, you know, it's look a lot in common. Players that we can't pronounce. I like that very much, as always. And obviously, celebrity owners, people who are well known. You know, we have that history. I would love to see in the comments who would be if we could draw in a couple of new celebrities that we could use to do this. It's not Snoop Dogg, but I want the most random, the better. A definite would be definitely. Gwyneth Paltrow, and all her accoutrements should be left well alone. I would suggest. I think we pumped those thoroughly last season. I don't think we should do that at all anymore. Now, one thing that we did discuss, but I thought I'd let everybody know this on the stats here. Here is the head-to-head in terms of the stats from the last decade, and I thought, let's have a look at that, because knowing what the head-to-head was in 1932 doesn't really matter. But over the last 10 years, we have played each other home and away 15 times. Watford have won 7, drawn 2, Swansea have won 6. Being close, the goal difference overall 1+ for Swansea. We've got, however, despite not scoring those goals, 23 points, and they've had 20. Now that goal difference comes down to a lot down in the bottom left, that 4-0 defeat there, which we're still emotionally all scarred over, which prompted a few tweets and a few bits and bobs. But at the Liberty Stadium, if you look at that top table on there, we've played 7 times, we've won twice, we've drawn once, and we've lost 4. Swansea have definitely got it over us there, and the home team seem to be dominating this tie in terms of that. And the actual results that have happened across the board have tended to be an away win will be 2-1 and a home win would be 1-0. So it's going to be tight. It's going to be close, probably. I'm saying this, and then probably somebody's going to win 5-0 or something. But we just thought we'd have a little look at that and see what people thought. So as and when we get to the prediction league, you might want to have an idea about what you think, who you might think would be there. Oh, all right, Justin, no need to keel over just while I'm mentioning things like that. Honestly, he goes over at the drop of a hat these days. Never mind. Right. So in the meantime, and I'm sure a lot of people here will be going, all right, Pete, when are you going to get to Untenable?
Oh, not Untenable. Oh, and I know the results of this already. So
keep stum.
I'm not going to say.
Luke was very good as we explained the rules to him, as we have to everybody. Obviously, the question why obviously will always come up, but never mind. Let's have a look, because Justin may have been receiving some advices from third parties. This is now finally, we're going to get to the point where I torture Justin. What we have is now a show, a quiz show, if you will, where just for fun and games, you're going to take on for the EFL against Justin. And we're going to have a look at Justin's comprehensive knowledge of all things football. So we're going to be last time we did it on Clark Carlisle, and basically the idea was somebody who'd played for both teams, and then we'll work out who else they've played for. However, I noticed that Mr. John Parslow had said, well, all you've got to do, Justin, is have a look at the players who've played for both sides and gen up. It's bound to be Danny Graham. So if you think it's Danny Graham, you're wrong. It's not going to be that at all. We're doing something completely different. We are going to be doing a competition. Yes,
I actually looked it up as well, because someone tipped me. I think Gary Wood also sent me a message going, it's going to be Danny Graham. So I thought, I will look it up. So I've got Wolverhampton Wanderers in my mind, Carlisle United, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and now we're doing this. Okay, here we go.
Not my first rodeo, me old son. So what we are going to be doing is the ground fill percentage for last season in the Championship. Obviously, I spelt Championship wrong just for everybody's enjoyment, but that's me. Anyway, what we are going to be doing is you are going to be predicting, out of the 24 teams, you have to tell me which teams are in the top 10 in terms of the percentage that their grounds were filled. So who had the most filled grounds? Obviously, 24 teams last season. This year, you've got to pick them. And then I will allocate you the points as the percentages that they were full. And we'll see who wins. Too complicated? You be the judge.
Are you happy with this, Luke? Are you happy to go along with
this?
I'm
just thinking, I'm like, oh my God, I can't think who's got. I was stressed now.
Okay. This is genius. It's genius, just dressed up as stupidity. But in fairness, it's quite a convincing look of stupidity. Luke, so I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, can you name for me one of the Championship teams last year? And we'll find out whether or not they were in the top 10. Think about it. Was it a full ground? Was it an empty ground? The more full it is, the better it is for you guys. We'll take it in turns. And by the way, the moment you get the moment you get 2 wrong, that's you done, and the other player carries on. It's all very unnecessarily complicated. Luke, sir, give me a championship team from last year who would have had a nice filled ground.
Oh God, this is no. Why do I have to go first?
A combination of cruelty and
I'm
guesswork.
trying to think of like smaller grounds that maybe.
Oh.
I know, like I don't know. I'm going to go Oxford because I'm sure they're building a new stadium, and
So-
I think they've got quite a small one.
So we're looking at 1 to 10. See how it goes. Look at
I'll
that.
take that.
90.8% filled is Oxford in 6th place. It gives you an idea as to where everything sits. 90.8. So that starts us off. Oh, my Excel spreadsheet starts making noises at me as I try to move things across to keep score. Luke has got 90.8. Justin, your turn. Which team do you think will have had even better, maybe, but certainly in the top 10 in the championship last season?
Well, I went to Coventry last year and it looked pretty full to me, so I'm going to say Coventry City.
No, Coventry were in 13th place in the championship. They've got a ground 32,609 and only 27,647 were filled, making it 84.8%. So that's the first X for Justin there. That's a worrying start, I have to say, even for Justin. That wasn't good. Never mind. Let's get across back to Luke. Luke, so you can consolidate what sounds like a comfortable win at the moment, the way you're working these things out. Give me another one of the 24.
Oh, see, I got one that I think is quite small, but then they had a really bad season, so I don't know whether I want to commit to it.
Don't forget the percentage that it's filled.
Yeah, I was going to say Luton.
Oh,
I got
this podcast. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, I know, but they basically play in a shed, don't they?
Good save, everybody.
So that's what I was thinking.
Okay, you're saying Luton Town. Obviously, no longer in the championship, but at the time, of course, they were. Let's see how we go. Yes, Luton Town, 97.5%, because they play, as you say, in a shithole. Well, you didn't
take much. Doesn't take much to fill the shed.
It doesn't at all. So far, Justin, you're 188.3 versus 0, but you've got a chance here to get back in this game. Come on, who are you going to be going for?
So Pompey went up, didn't they? So season tickets must have increased. So I'm going to say Portsmouth.
He's saying out of 1 to 10, he's saying Portsmouth. That seems reasonable. I think that's a quite good guess, in fairness. Oh, look at that. He's got the top answer. Yeah, this didn't happen last week. This didn't happen last week at all. I like that. The scores are 188.3. Yes, we're doing decimal places. Live with it, people. Versus 97.9. Over to Luke. Who are you going to go for? Which grounds were full?
This gets tricky now. Looking at the top end of who had good seasons. I mean, Leeds like to think they're a big club, don't they?
Nice.
So I'm going to go Leeds.
He's going Leeds. Out of all of those, you think that Leeds are going to be one of the big teams and do well? They were 95.4% filled, which is great. 37,890 is their capacity. 36,128 was their total. Let's have a look at this. Yes, we already know there's data there. Yes, thank you, Excel. 283.7 plays 97.9. This is good. Justin, come on. You pulled it out with Portsmouth. I'm glad you put it back away again. But now, what are you going to do? Who are you going for?
Well, big city for football. Sunderland. Oh no, Preston Burn.
I was going to say them next, so that's good.
Justin's already lost, I'm afraid. 48,707 is their stadium. in the Championship, they only got 39,182 on average. Not that you'd know that over the weekend in when they're playing in the Premier League. Oh, suddenly all these red and white shirts come out. Yeah. What can you do? 80.4% it was. There you go. Well, Luke, you've already won, but I'm going to give you another couple of goes, sir, because you're going to absolutely trounce him on the points here. Who else would you suggest might have done well in this particular table?
I'm going to go for Plymouth.
I've got to say it. He's doing so well.
So I went to Plymouth, not last season, season before, and that was quite a decent crowd. So
excellent stuff. 374.4 plays 97.9. Come on, sir. See how many more you can get. Who else?
It gets quite tricky now, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, you've already flattened the opposition. You managed
Burnley, obviously top two, so they had a good season. I'll go Burnley.
Burnley. He's going Burnley. That seems reasonable. Again, this is very, very good stuff. I can't deny it. It's absolutely. To be honest, Justin, you've been absolutely.
I'm flattened, mate. Yeah,
level expertise.
Yeah.
Come on, 4 more. Who are you going to go for? He still hasn't got one wrong. This could be the most comprehensive win since Gino's vote of confidence went to himself, and only he was voting. Carry on.
Bristol City get into the playoffs. Were they expecting that at the start of the season? So I'm going to try them.
That's all I'll say. No, it's not Bristol City. I don't know what happened there. Bristol City.
I think it gave it away before the countdown.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? 27,000.
Okay, no, it's getting hard. I'm trying to think.
27,000 in the stand. In the stadium. 22,303. It's 82.6%. Last go if you're wrong, but let's see who you're going to go for.
I'm trying to think who else has got a small ground. I can't remember, to be honest. It's getting to that point where my mind's frazzled. I'll say West Brom. I'll say West Brom.
West Brom.
I've been there a few times.
It's fine ground.
Usually quite full.
He's on fire. He's absolutely on fire. 92.9% on that one. 26,850 is the normal number. 24,942. So just under 25,000 for a 27,000 seater. That's very, very good indeed. You've so flattened him. It's just ridiculous. Let's have a look at the bottom 10. The bottom last one was Derby County with 86.6% to make it into 10th place. Ironically, in 9th, somebody we didn't think about, Watford, 89.8. Now, this gets into an interesting question because, of course, we've all been in there when they've said that the average is 19,371, and we've gone, who, where? Who?
But you put a 1 at the beginning of that number,
Well, season tickets that don't turn up.
And in 3rd place, Norwich City, a fine city, as it says. With those, well, look, you've absolutely comprehensively battered him there. I think that's very, very good. You've done well there. The actual full percentages are here, just so that everybody can see it. The top 10 there, you've seen there.
Queen's Park very good.
Queen's Park Rangers, dropping a bit despite having a fairly small ground. But the big ones at the bottom here, Blackburn with just over 50% fill because, of course, upset with the Venkies. Your erstwhile colleagues, you did well to.
Capital City.
Well, exactly. 8.9%. Sheffield Wednesday, despite obviously Chansiri's best efforts, are still getting. What can I say? I'm not saying Chansiri's, kind of the son of the devil, but they've got 66.6% of people turning up.
Bizarre.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
That's weird.
Well, there we go.
Yes.
So the running total is EFL 2. Justin, nil. Justin.
Yes. I know. And apparently I should be dropped from the DNSYE pub quiz team immediately. And people not thinking that Watford were going to be top 10.
We saw that. You saw us. We went, cows, cattle. It was like, what, really?
No.
Yes.
No.
Well,
I Yeah, no, I'm just upset that I went away and researched Danny Graham on the advice of a couple of people, and then that happened. But there you go; these things do happen. If you do enjoy Tenable, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.
What I like was that Terry had also said, I've gone blurry. I'll come in and go, hello. Look, I'm sorry, everybody. This is how I look close up. It's not good, is it? But Terry's comment was, can you phone a friend on this game? Well, unfortunately, it's Justin's friends who set this sort of shit up for him. So,
yes.
but you know, as we saw, Terry turned very quickly and insisted that you be dropped from the moment we formed the quiz team. We will drop Justin immediately from it just to make sure that everything is there.
This is music, in which case I'm going to help. But anything else,
no, that's true. That's true. There are some niches that you can do. That would be good. Well, I think we better go. We better start looking forward, really. I suppose, and getting to
DNSYE completely rubbish prediction league.
No, God, please, no.
Yes. Look, we can do analysis. We can do various things, but our USP is fucking about a bit, to be quite frank. It's far more enjoyable as far as we're concerned. You know, there you go. The first DNSYE league table for the season after only 2 weeks. I didn't bother doing one after the first. Now, don't forget, Justin is majorly involved with this. So, Terry, be kind. Be kind when you look to the bottom of this table, because DNSYE have not yet scored a point. In fairness, we're too busy coming up with stupid fucking shit like this. So to do it, the EFL are on 3 points, which came from Charlton first of all. AFC Postbox on 3 points. After you much maligning AFC Postbox last week.
I just said, what happens if there's 30 in one and 16 in another? Is it going to be a 30-16, or are we going to divide it by 4? I mean, I wasn't quite sure how that would work.
Colin put it across to me. He said, also, you can tell Justin that it's not all or almost not all bad for news for the Royal Mail. He says the boxes I use for the predictions are on a very small estate. I opened 6 in total, and 2 or 3 of those would predict a rugby match or NFL scores. One might even predict a snooker match. There you go. So what are the scores, you say, for AFC Postbox today? Well, he sent me this through, which is very interesting. I like this because I don't know about you. I don't really necessarily look at post boxes a lot, but here's one for Elizabeth and one for Charles. There they are, aren't they? Small and Diddy. His prediction is 1-1, but obviously, look at that. ER2, CR3, and that's nothing to do with Cristiano Ronaldo. At least I don't believe it is. That's good. So we've already got the first one on the board, which is a 1-1, which is back in play, everybody. I keep going blurry. What's going on? Normally that's my vision, but never mind. Now, Brett, who is currently where? Where's Brett? Brett's doing all right. He's in mid-table. He's had 2 correct predictions in terms of the results. He hasn't quite got the goal scoring correctly, but he's scored each time, which is, in fairness, more than DNSYE have managed to do at all. He was in Greece, and he's gone down what I traditionally call, from 2 seasons ago, the Ben Bloom route.
Right, score prediction: Swansea versus Watford, and Swansea at home. So let's roll for Swansea. That is 4 minus 1 equals 3 for Swansea. And Watford. For Watford, it's 2. Oh dear.
3-2.
There you go. 3-2.
No toilets were harmed in the making of this video, which is good to see. I like to see that he's not chucking things down the bog anymore.
Absolutely. Got no idea who's that young boy was, but thank you very much for bringing some sanity for once to Backgammon FC. So there we go. So what we've got is a 1-0, a 1-1 from AFC Postbox, and we've got 2-3. So it's going to Swansea in that particular game. Now, of course, we did. I think it's time we went back to Luke once more, having triumphed on the back of Tenable. Indeed, gubbed you fully, properly, comprehensively. We asked him, what do you think the score's going to be? So we will turn now. We need to turn to Luke, our guest, playing on behalf of the EFL. You can now, in this, what we roughly call game and roughly call league, you can select whatever score you want, regardless of anything. We've removed all hurdles. 1-1 is back in play. However, you saw, out of 15 games, that's only ever happened once. What do you think the score's going to be when the Hornets come and visit the Jacks in Swansea?
I think it'd be a low-scoring game, to be honest. So we're looking all right at the moment, and our defense has actually looked okay from open play. Set pieces maybe is the opportunity. I'm going to go 1-0 Swansea again. I don't think we're going to score many, but we've been quite solid. So
1-0 to the home team at the Liberty Stadium. Well, you've lost 1-0, you've won 1-0, and you're looking to make that a second. Well, we'll see how that goes. Well, there you go, 1-0 to Swansea. So far at the moment, it's going the way of the home team, which sort of works with the head-to-head kind of thing. It's almost like that actually made some sense, as opposed to just me buggering about with a spreadsheet per normal. Never mind. Patreons FC are doing all right. They've just picked up a point so far. However, I do go into the Patreon group and go, right, who's going to send me through a video, or who's going to give me the and today I got 2, and I have to accept the first answer. So I'm going to give you the first video, but then, because it's very nice, I'm going to give you the second one anyway. The first one was from Mr. Neil Silverstein.
So, prediction for Saturday's trip to Swansea. For me, 1-0. Why not? After all, every single game that these two sides have played this season so far have ended in, yes, 1-0. So can't see that habit changing, and can't see why. No logic, just a gut feeling that it's a Watford 1-0 win. So hopefully all those making the trip, it's a well worth one, and you head back down or up across even on the M4 with 3 points and 1 or 2 sore heads.
Nice, very, very nice. 1-0, little away journey, snatch and grab the 3 points and run back down or up or across, as Neil covered all bases in terms of directions away from the Liberty Stadium. I like that. And Paul Fianta-Turner sent one a little bit later. Now, Paul is holidaying, and this looks rather dark. You may need to squint, but yeah, quite pleasant.
PFT coming in from Senigallia, Italy. Match prediction on Saturday. Fireworks. Swansea 2. Watford 3. Come on. Kaboom time.
There you go.
Did he say Senegal?
Fireworks from... No, he's in Italy. He's not in Senegal.
Oh, he sounded like Senegal. Sorry.
It was very dark. Couldn't quite make it out very well because, let's face it, the audio background of having fireworks going off, as well as having, I presume his daughter on his head at the same time, or on his shoulders, I should say, made it all very good. So what do we have? We have Backgammon FC have gone 2-3 to Watford. He's reversing that, is Paul, but that doesn't count. That's just for fun. And if he gets it, he gets bragging rights, obviously. Patreons FC have gone 1-0 through Neil Silverstein. 1-1 due to Elizabeth and Charles, basically letterboxes being fine. And Luke, for the EFL, has gone 1-0 to Swansea. Justin, it's down to you. What can you do to get us started?
Good question, Peter. Let's have a quick look at what might be happening. There's going to be no loser. Who knows who he's going to start with? So there's your variables. I don't want to say we're going to lose, because I listened back to the space after the 4-0 drubbing on the 30th of December 2022 the other day. If you haven't heard it, it's on our Twitter. Honestly, everyone is so miserable. And then you get 2 phone calls in a row, one from Darren from Australia and one from Alex's uncle, that just round it all off the first half. You just go, that's brilliant. So I don't want another one of those, as much as I like them. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Watford. You're going 1-0 Watford. You're going along with Patreon. So there you go. Mr. Silverstein now is hanging his head in shame, going, oh, God, I'm on the same page as that. Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
Okay. 1-0. Well, there we have it. So all the scores are, 1-0 to Swansea, 1-0 to Watford, 3-2 to Swansea, 1-0 to Watford again, and 1-1, which means very, very pleasingly, once again, points will be awarded. Right. Well, viewers will be pleased to know that, Justin, you're having your Wi-Fi upgraded, aren't you? So you'll be less blurry vision in future.
Well, in theory, yeah, my vision's blurry at the moment, but that's another story.
That's true.
Yeah, I've got a problem in my eye, and I'm hoping it's not the start of another detached retina, but that's another story. Yes, I am having my Wi-Fi upgraded. Hopefully that will stop a lot of my issues. We'll see. If it doesn't, that's another £4 or £5 a month up my sleeve. Yeah, so that's happening Tuesday next week. So hopefully, fingers crossed, better.
I like this. Thomas says, "Wow, never thought Watford would be top 10." Having said earlier on, quite comfortably that we won't be in the top 10. I don't think we were either, really. Luke, hello, Luke says, "So the new prediction dog is a pair of post boxes." Yeah, pretty much. We tried to streamline it, and the dog, the dog needed a bit of a rest, needed a bit of a lie down. So there we go. Do we have any questions to deal with it, or we're now approaching the hour, which is what we're targeting? And the time is going well, but we've still got a couple of bits. Go on, far away.
It's up to you. I mean, Brian does a 007 says, where do we think we need to strengthen as a priority? And should the championship? Oh, that's the thing about Ecuadorian Serie B. We won't go into that. So where do we think we need to strengthen as priority? I mean, I still think there's question marks about the central midfield. I think maybe that could be somewhere to strengthen because I just think there might be question marks still there. But I tell you what, I think after that display on Saturday, if we can play like that more often, if he can get them playing like we did in the first 40 minutes against QPR regularly, I don't really see that there's that many gaps. What do you think?
I think we need strengthening through the spine, and we saw from one of Adam Jury's comments, and we were attached to Lovric or Lovric, depending on how you want to mispronounce it. I have many ways of mispronouncing many names. Was that he was linked to us from being a kind of a busy box-to-box central midfield player from Udinese, and then suddenly Udinese announced that he is the new vice captain, and you go, okay, doesn't really feel like he's on his way over here. So who knows what's going on behind the scenes there, whether or not that's a disagreement in the two different camps. I'd heard another name had been mentioned prior to Lovric being mentioned, so we'll see whether or not that comes out. With regards to at the back, I'd also heard about Dennis Popov, which has then come out kind of elsewhere, who was a centre-back playing for Dynamo Kiev. He's 26. However, on the 12th, he was playing and he came off after 65 minutes and then he didn't play in their European match. So my understanding is I think that the lad might be injured, and that might be why something, he hasn't come in, or a move hasn't been made, or for any number of reasons why a move might not happen. But I think the intention from the ownership of the club is to try to strengthen down the centre. So they know that they need a central midfielder. They know they need a centre-back. And I don't know. Kieran Gard showed us something there, but I still think a lot of people are saying, well, if we just had somebody with a bit more experience up front again, who we can rely on, but also somebody who can pass on, kind of the dark arts or kind of the coach, the strikers specifically as well. Somebody who brings it in, who can give us anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes off the bench, but can kind of, guarantee your goals. Even better, obviously, if they can start, would be obviously ideal. But I think most people would look at that and go, well, yeah, Kieran Gar on Saturday, he was getting into good positions. He was getting into better positions. You partner that with somebody who's breaking the line. Sorry to repeat myself from earlier on, but I think it's fundamental. That's really important. The question's going to be, how are we going to do that if we go to a 4-3-3? Who's going to go and take that on? Who's going to go and run on? And are they going to come back in and do the work they need in the midfield? Are we going to go to a 4-2-3-1? Well, there's been rumours about Chakvetadze and Valencia. I don't believe those are reliable, but I don't know for sure. I haven't been doing any investigation on it either way. But if I was Valencia, who are, well, I won't say they don't have a pot to piss in, but they don't have very much money. Would you spend your money on a midfielder with the assist stats that Georgie has, and the fitness, because he hasn't played since April? Are you going to lay money down on that in the last few weeks of the window? I'd find that odd. But obviously some people will look at it and go, well, maybe they've been kind of resting him in order to move. Hey, stranger things have happened than somebody coming in and going for it, but I can't see it here. I'd be very, very surprised. But I think I love the look of Irankunda. He just looks so much fun.
He does. He looks like fun. I just love watching him when he gets the ball. He just looks like he's enjoying himself, doesn't he? So I'm looking forward to seeing more from Irankunda, to be honest. I think that That could be really exciting if he's going to keep at that sort of pace. We haven't seen anything of Vata yet, which, be interested to see how he fits into the team at the moment.
Well, Vata was obviously he was not included in Charlton because of an injury. In terms of that's not a skeptical kind of injury. I've said about the fact that when he was at Celtic before he came here, he took a long time that last year recovering from a virus. He went down with that again, a sort of a recurrence. It was sort of last season. I don't think we've quite ever got him back up and running. Anybody who saw him at Wealdstone playing against Wimbledon would go, that's not really quite, he's not at full strength, and so it's unsurprising. We need to get him there. The joy is that you've got other players who are in the building who can kind of come in and take that place. However, suddenly you've got, if you do go 5-3-2 or 3-5-2, which however you want to call it, you've suddenly got a lot of players competing for not many forward positions, and so it kind of changes it. So I think we'll see how things go. We'll see him adapting. Tom Fox says, get Troy to dust off his boots. Yeah, well, when we spoke to him a few years ago, he'd been invited to come back in for that role, or at least it had been discussed, and then he got sort of taken away. He got very humpy and started talking about speed bumps at that point, which was fun. Josh Lewis said about, did you see Lovrich being given the captaincy? Yeah, we just mentioned that a minute ago, but he said we're still looking at Oyazaraga. I see that has been denied. However, who knows what a denial makes? Doesn't really make too much difference. The general on fan club. Evening, sir. Evening, boys with a Z. That's the Ute saying that kind of thing.
Yes.
I shan't be having Zeds around here, which is very good. And Melanie, Watford Insta posted a pic of Georgie earlier. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't know quite when it was from. He's been told to strengthen and condition. I mean, basically, he's got something wrong with his foot. It's not going to stop him keeping physically fit and making sure that when he is brought back in, which they said was after a period of 6 weeks, that he shouldn't be in good condition. And yes, that's me saying that. And yes, I appreciate the irony as well. I may well burst into a flame in a fit of hypocrisy, but never mind. I'm talking about professionals, not me.
Nice. Have we hit our hour mark? We've gone over the hour and 6 by the look of things. Yeah,
we have gone over the hour. We've gone over the hour, but there has been a question in from Simon. Let's go there. Yeah,
Cool.
okay. Evening. Any thoughts on the club's intentional leaking of transfer rumours to a fan account? Well, yeah, no, we got
nothing about this. I know nothing about this. This has caught me completely off guard. What is this all about?
Well, this is a conversation that's gone on Twitter between people, and I frankly, I regard it as just that. It's a conversation between people on Twitter. Lou Warnes had said, he's announced various people first and foremost, etc. And we had another question earlier on about it, pretty much about exactly the same thing. So I think it's worthwhile. People are talking about it. I mean, I look at it as the same as us. If we say something on Twitter, who are we? What does it really matter? So I'm not. I wouldn't take it with a pinch of salt, but nor would I disregard it totally. As anybody will know, we talk to the club because we're a I suppose a platform or what have you. And at the start of the season, I had a conversation with the new head of comms, a nice enough guy, etc. We got on very well with Richard, who's now over at West Ham. And I had a conversation where he said, "Well, look, you just wanted to be open door because," and I'll share the bit that he said to me because I liked it. So I'm not going to be saying anything contentious here, which was there's a lot of rumors come around because you have a lot of these kind of media agencies who are trying to build up stories and throw them out onto, clickbait sort of stuff. And so you'll get lots of rumors linking us to players. Sometimes it's a player's agent will put it out. Sometimes it'll be, and he just said, look, if you've got something and you want to run with it. And I did say, we don't really get involved in that sort of stuff. We do this sort of, mucking about nonsense most of the time and trying to give over the platform, like on the Twitter Spaces and on this to other people to have their say more than anything. Because let's face it, we talk enough bollocks most of the time. His point was this, which I liked. He said, well, just in this day and age, he said, I think it's fine. I don't, get involved. You are entitled to have your own opinions. What we want to try to do is try to make sure that, the facts are the facts. They're non-contestable. And I'm of that age where I go, yeah, I like that. I'd like that. So I've had a couple of conversations where I've rung up and said, earlier on in the season, the close season, and said, this and this, and I've heard this, because we've got lovely people who contact us and go something like this. So you just go and check it out. And a couple of them were like, oh, bloody hell, how did you know about that? And on others, it was, no, that's absolute, twaddle, etc. And it was like, well, okay, so from that, for example, we know for sure that Diallo was very, very close, because I put out an animation, and because I'd literally rung and said, I'm going to be doing something tomorrow, on the animation side of it, and want to put something out. Which one should I go for then? And it was like, well, I think Diallo is probably fairly safe, because we thought it was, because he'd done almost everything. So that, he is definitely the one that got away. And I think the Watford recruitment team will be looking to make up ground for that at some point. But, he went, yeah, put that out. And then when it went wrong, it was like, oh, well, we didn't know. So even the club are not completely infallible in terms of predicting future events. It can happen. Now, at no point has anybody contacted me to turn around and say, would you leak this? Would you put this out? That is not the nature of a conversation with a podcast like us. Plus the fact, who would give a holy fuck if we said something about anything anyway? It really doesn't matter. What information, what critical advantage, what bonus, what benefit is there to the club for somebody from a podcast? Sorry, I'm trying to jump us into the equation of this. Or in this particular instance, Lou Warren saying it. Well, okay, something might happen, and it might not. Who knows? We never know. So no, at no point have we ever been asked to put anything out. I'd be surprised if that was how it was done. But I've not been party to that conversation, and that would have to be between the club and that individual. So that's in the words of Forrest Gump, and that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally we'll get a thing through saying there's a player being announced at 9 o'clock. Could you not announce it until just after? That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Here's some pictures. You've got 5 minutes to create
here's some pictures. Yeah. Oh, right. I better send them to Peter. Make sure he's got them. Yeah. It's
most of the the podcasts with an on-demand kind of stream and a certain size scale have I think get that stuff sent. So you'll see it from us. You'll see it from FTRE, you'll see it from Voices of the Vic, etc. All of that sort of stuff, and WD18, who I always forget because they're on YouTube. But now we're doing it right now. In fact, I shouldn't forget.
We are.
Sorry, guys.
Yes.
It's that sort of thing. But the ability to just sense check something, because sometimes you hear some names and you just go, "Who's put this out?" And it's like, "Oh, it was Justin." You go, "Well, that's highly unreliable, then, isn't it, by definition?" So there you go. I think that's all we've got to say about that. I think we should let these good people get along and look forward to planning their trips to Swansea. Modric at the Mumbles. I enjoyed that as well. It was a good sentence.
Yes. So if you are going, have a safe journey, everybody, however you're getting there, and have a good day. We'll be back after the game here and on X, stretching ourselves across 2 platforms at once. Yes, there are a couple of little glitches here and there. Oh, I know. Yes, there are a couple of little glitches here and there, but we can get past that, can't we? We're not infallible, and we actually are, I think, stretching what we can do to its absolute limit, aren't we? Really, at the end of the day, we're kind of like, bar having a phone number that you can ring in like the old days and come on the air, we are stretching Spaces and YouTube as thin as possible. So there will be cracks occasionally, but stay with us.
With regard to the Spaces and doing that, and appreciate it. Every time we've done it, it's a learning curve, because you can't practice this stuff other than in a live fire environment, because you're linking to YouTube, you're linking into Spaces, and you have to kind of do it. We learned a lot from the first one. The second one, I think, was an improvement, but there was still an issue, which I think we've identified and will hopefully be there. Effectively, what we are doing is it's still going to be an X broadcast, or whatever you want to call it, that we're linking through to YouTube. We've been requested if we could do something, because a lot of people enjoyed coming onto the or listening live or participating in a way, which you still can do in YouTube in a way. You can't call in, you've got to do that via X, I'm afraid. But you can put in the comments like you did here, but who don't have X or don't want to have X for any number of reasons. So look, It's there. That's the idea of it. We will get there, and it will improve. Promise it'll improve, and we'll see where we go with it. But thank you very much for sticking with us.
Yes.
Thank you very much for contributing, and thank you very much for being here tonight. Much appreciated.
Like and subscribe, and we'll see. I've got to get it in there, and we'll see you after the game on Saturday. Oh, you're welcome, Melanie. You're welcome. Right, should we wrap up?
Look,
oh, hang on. Oh, Kevin's just joined us.
Kev just joined us just in time for us to shut everything down.
Sorry,
I think that's important. Sorry, Kev.
But if you like and subscribe, that won't happen next time because you'll be notified that we're going live. So there you go. Shall we say goodbye, Peter?
Goodbye, Peter.
See ya. You Orns. Safe journey Saturday.